Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.
Hey, fine folks. This is Freedom Fighter, and welcome to Goldilocks Global Banking News. We are presently in the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room, where we have a very special call today with a very special young lady out of London. Many of you have already heard Bamby's story out of London. I am going to quickly share with you the banking system. Just imagine, you all have been hearing stories about many of our members here in the United States establishing relationships with wealth managers, prepared for their exchanges, setting up trust, meeting with CPAs that are on the team with the wealth management firms to prepare for the growth of the money once the exchanges happen. Story after story, member after member that are actually doing this. However, just imagine all of you who have already established your relationships. Just imagine if you had to pay the wealth manager up front. Just imagine if the system was that you had to have at least $100,000, $200,000 in your account before the wealth manager would even talk to you. That is what it is like in the UK, in the United Kingdom, where Bambi is. You can't even talk to a wealth manager. You can't meet with the wealth manager unless you have your wealth already in place and show proof that it exists. Also, you can't even meet with them unless you go in your pocketbook and pay them for their time first. Well, there is someone named Bambi in London who just so happens to be very special. I'm sure it's a combination between Bambi's straight understanding of the process. She has been a member of the Goldilocks QFS Dialogue Room from the very beginning. She took the steps that we've been following here in the United States, and she applied them in London, and she found it was a little different. However, that didn't stop her. Very tenacious, very professional. She was in the room, the QFS room, lurking, learning, and ended up establishing relationships over the phone with a wealth manager at a very, very large bank. One of the, if I could say, as it pertains to the RV, it is one of the three banks in the world that is intricately involved in the RV. For those that don't know, specifically in Europe, in the United Kingdom, I should say, 70% of all global banking systems, so that means all countries, 70% around the world, their financial systems flow through They flow through the United Kingdom. They flow through specifically London. The United States banking system is actually, I was getting ready to say stepchild, but the United States banking system mirrors the banking system in Europe. So as Europe goes, the United States goes, particularly the financial system. So as the Europe goes, the financial system, so does the majority of the other banking systems around the world. For those that may not realize, Europe is the granddaddy of them all with the global banking system. And so they have a different process for people, for clients to even meet with them than here in the United States. Just yesterday, Goldilocks shared an article showing that on January the 9th, yesterday, Europe became compliant with the digital regulations that they needed in preparation for the new global banking system, which, yes, you can also say in preparation for the revaluation of the currencies, because those regulations had to be in place. Last year, April, I believe it was, those regulations in Europe went live, but all European banks had to be compliant by yesterday. These are digital regulations. No coincidence that 2 months ago, Iraq passed their digital banking regulation laws as well. No coincidence that Goldilocks shared just today that the United States digital regulations will move forward this month. On the Saturday night call tomorrow, we're going to go into depth into that. These are the regulations we need, must have, mandatory, cannot do without in order for the RV to occur. So here we have Bambi has made tremendous strides in Europe in the banking system. And much of what Goldilocks has been sharing in her own ability to establish relationships, she's actually, she sent me some information that confirms, sent me some information from the bank that the bank shared with her per her meeting with her wealth manager, confirms everything Goldilocks has been saying regarding the digital banking system. So, with Bambi having her follow-up meeting with this wealth manager, she also has several other meetings coming up with different wealth managers in Europe, where you must have the money up front or you must pay the wealth manager up front to even, in Bambi's words, to even wet their whistle. Bambi, you can unmute. I'm bringing you on board. Bambi, you can unmute, young lady.
Do you know what? I thought you'd get the wetting a whistle in somewhere.
You know, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it.
Yourself, could you? My God, I'm never going to live that one down, am I?
Not at all. Not at all.
Happy Friday, by the way, everybody. Happy Friday.
Yes. Thank you. Happy Friday. Glad that you were able to make it. It's what, 6:11 your time?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
You've done such an amazing job.
God, thank you.
Yes. So we know about a month or so ago, you made tremendous strides over the phone, via email. You had the wealth manager end up calling you from his mobile phone. You followed the steps that we shared, but you tailored them to what was best for in the banking system there. You didn't change them, but you were very tenacious. Now you had your first face-to-face, correct?
Correct.
If you can fill us in from here, please do,
Okay.
young lady.
Okay, so that very first call that we did with you, I think I just had the telephone call from the wealth manager of this tier one bank, and he we left it that he sent me a load of brochures, and we said that we'd get in touch in the new year. In the meantime, I'd got in touch with the other tier one bank, and I'd set that one up and put that one all into play as well, ready for the new year. So I'll come back to that one in a moment. And then in the new year, I contacted. I said, can we do the follow up? As we discussed before Christmas, can we set up the next stage, the next meeting? And this is when he introduced me to somebody else who has been a VP of this bank, who's been in every sector. He's been in this business for about over 20 years. He's got tremendous experience, and he had him call me. He set up a call first of all. So the call happened this week, and we sat at length and spoke on the phone. I pretty much reiterated what I'd said to the previous guy, what I was looking to do. He did touch on what is the investment, and I said I'm only going to divulge that to the bank that I choose to go with. And I actually used Wiley's words here, and I said I'm actually looking to I'm treating this as a first date, and I just went for it. I said so this is like telephone dating right now I'm having with you, and I said and this is just really I want to know whether I'm you're going to like me and I'm going to like you. And so it's a two-way street, and I very much played the part that, for the future, for this to happen, I want to be sure that it's right for me, but I also want to ensure that it's right for you, that you want to partner with me as well. And I was very stern in that respect. And he was like, oh, right. Okay. Yeah, good. I've spoken a lot of those terms about what they would get out of it, and I don't think they're used to hearing that side of things. I think a lot of the time is people about me and what they want, but I kind of really played the game to make sure that that I was wetting his whistle as well, to keep him interested. And so I laid it all out, what I was looking for, and he then said, okay, right, well, I think the next thing to do is to have the face-to-face. And he just did it. So that was Monday, and yesterday was the face-to-face. And so I went into town, and I was looking, funnily enough, on for the branch as I was walking around. I was going, where's the branch? And there's this big building and everything. And I actually walked past the entrance because you're looking for the branding of it, a big kind of entrance and things. I'm like, where is it? And I actually walked straight past like a doorway, and I went back. And there was a little square thing on it. And I had to, go up close, and very up close. And it said the name of the tier one bank, private banking. And I was like, oh, it's this buzzer. So I pressed the buzzer, and they answered. I said, oh, hello, I'm here to meet. I'm a little bit early. I'm here to meet. Blah blah. And they go, oh yes, come on in. So the man on the buzzer was expecting me. So I went up to the second floor, and not an inch of branding anywhere. You would never have known. You would never have known that I was at these, at their offices, and went into the reception, and it's lovely, beautiful artwork everywhere and things, and went into the conference room, and there was pastries laid out and lovely herbal soft drinks and stunning views out of this big window of of the city and everything. And it was just,
Mhm.
yeah. So and then they came in, and it was the gentleman that I spoke to the very, very first time on the phone. And then
Mhm.
the gentleman who I spoke with on the phone on Monday. So I was
Mhm.
joined by two of them. And so I was feeling pretty confident at this point. They wanted to know a lot about me, a lot.
Mhm.
And it felt like, because, and he actually said, you've done a lot, because I've obviously did my research on him as well, and knew a lot about him, and he kind of filled in some more gaps. And then he said, we need to know a bit about you too. I
Mhm.
did feel he was very interested in my current circumstances, which I was pretty guarded about, because obviously, you didn't know sort of where they're coming from, whether they're taking you seriously or
Mhm.
what. And he kept coming back to, even though he went through this slide presentation, I've got of the brochures, the hard copy. So I've got lots of graphs, and I've got lots of flow charts and diagrams and everything. And he wanted to know a lot about me, and he kept coming back to, if we knew your investment, we'd be able to best help you, because we'd put X amount in here, X amount in here, and X amount in here. And he was going, hypothetically, 20 million, if we had 20 million to play with, we could probably do a bit here and a bit here and a bit here. And he said he did have some very strange things that I wasn't expecting coming from his level. For example, when I was speaking about trusts and foundations and things, he came, I think I mentioned to you in the chat, he came out straight away and said, well, he said, just consider where we are geographically. He said, and you've got the government just over there. He said, you could give it all to government. And then he went to the chart, and he showed the return on giving to the government. And I'm thinking, like, is he mad?
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
thinking,
no,
is he coming in from that angle? And I developed the best poker face in this meeting,
good.
with wide eyes, staring
Uh-huh.
straight at him. And I kept, every time I kept saying, interesting, okay, interesting. And never made any comments at all, because I thought it was that was a little strange. And he just kept coming back to, what is it? And I said, as I've said to you before, I'm not going to discuss it. Period. I said, I'm not going to discuss it until I decide on who I want to move forward with. And he goes, okay. And then, funnily enough, he has got another couple of people he wants to bring into the meeting, who he said, until we really know the amounts, he said, I want to bring in this person. He showed me the person in the book, and his team, and the next
So
person.
he's selling now.
He was really trying to sell, and
that's a good thing, folks. That I say that he's selling now. He wants to.
I know it was
prove.
driving him nuts. It was absolutely driving him nuts, not knowing. And here's me, because I've had this account for a long, long time, so I know that they were sneaky, right?
Oh, they saw your account.
Because,
they know what you have and what you don't have.
They even said to me, so whereabouts do you live? And I'm thinking, exactly where I live.
They know exactly.
And so I just kept it vague. I just said northwest London, and where do you live? I kept turning everything back on them. And where do you live?
Smart.
Every time they asked a question to me, I asked the same question back.
Yes.
And I thought, I'm not going to have this. And they wanted to know a lot about my family and things like that. And I kind of just kept it top notch, and then just kept turning the conversation back. So it was, and then at the very, very end. Now, remember, in that very first call I had with you, I did with that guy, I did touch on at the very end. Can you remember I said I felt comfortable saying currency?
Yes, I remember.
So he must have said to the guy that, oh yeah, currency. But I wasn't going to say it in this meeting at all. And it must have drove them nuts, because at the very, very end, and he said, so is it foreign currency? I said, it's what foreign currency? And he just looked at the other guy, and I had this really wide-eyed look on my face. And I said, is what foreign currency? And he said, oh, well, and then he really stuttered. And he said, well, did you know the pound dropped yesterday? And I said, and what does that mean? And he went, right, it's gone really, really low. And he kept looking at the other guy, and I was going, and I had this really wide-eyed expression, and I said, and what does that mean to me? And he was just like, and just played it vague, and he was just lost. He was absolutely just lost. And and then the other guy said, okay, well, I think this has been really good. He said, I've talked enough, because he spoke for about an hour after we've done, it was an hour and a half, the whole thing. But and he said, I think the next thing to do is you go away and have a, mull over all this, and we'll speak again in about 10 days. So he said, and I can bring the other two in on the next meeting as well.
That's where more selling is going to occur.
That's where more selling is going to occur.
They are going to do everything they can to get you to open up to earn your business. They don't care what it is. Well, they have an idea already, foreign currency, but they want to know what else. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, they wanted to know everything, and they were like, and they were trying to dabble in, anything else you've been involved in, like whether it's crypto or anything else. Like, have you been in the markets before and everything? And I just said, I've touched a little bit in the crypto world, but I said, I'm hardly a whale. I said, I'm sure you don't get many people like me. I said, but I'd like to think that, the age that I am, and this liquidity that's coming my way, I said, I'd like to think that, I've got the years of wisdom on my side to kind of make sure that I tackle it in the right way, the responsible way, and, is emotionless as possible. Hence, I said, why I'm doing it this way around, because after the event, I said, I don't want to be, be swayed in one way or another, or acting irrationally, or acting. I think it's really important to know that, actually, that, you could be really overwhelmed and just make bad decisions. And I came out of there yesterday and I thought, you know what, I'm so glad that we're doing it this way round and following everything, because it just makes everything real in the real world. And if you think about how the whole guru thing was, it's all this imaginary kind of thing going somewhere, and, coming out, you're going to that meeting, and, we've been led down that garden path for so many years, and you can't picture it because it's not real. This is like, it's just real. It's just really everyday banking, going to a meeting, dealing with the real world. And I'm just so grateful to kind of had this experience, this side of everything, while I've got my feet on the ground, not after the event where, oh my God, what am I going to do? And that reality has become real, and then you're so overwhelmed you don't even know where to begin. And then if you have got all that liquidity, they're going to be pounding on your doors and trying to sell you things, and you're going to be bamboozled, you're going to be absolutely bamboozled with information, and I don't think you'll be able to take it in. Whereas I just think that this side of doing things is so much better. And I've had a really long, hard think about it as well. So I kind of came away, and it bugged me all night. And I kept thinking to myself, do I like them? Do I want to go on a second date with them? And I'm thinking, I'm not so sure as if I do, actually, because, I kept telling them I didn't want to discuss it, and it wouldn't be discussed. And they kept pressing, they didn't heed me. And I'm thinking, well, we'll see. But at this moment in time, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to hedge my bets with see how I get on next week with my next one, So, yeah, it was pretty fascinating. We just left it. It was absolutely fine. He was, definitely wanted to meet me again.
What I love how you were in control.
Yeah.
You were in control by asking the questions. When they ask you a question, instead of boom, giving them an answer to satisfy them, you turned it on them to make, because a question makes them think. So that's why they got to a point where I think you said he was speaking for almost an hour. What he was doing, folks, is he was selling Bambi for at least that hour. It was his best effort to convince you that to do business with them by telling you all of what he thought he needed to say in order for you to open up. But when you didn't open up completely and you left the ball in their court to keep selling, now in 10 days or so, he's going to bring back the big guns to meet with you. Now they're at that meeting, they're going to open up even more of what they can and are willing to do to earn your business. But you don't have to give anything up. No. They already have an idea from the first person that you spoke to on the phone that you have foreign currency. They just don't know how much.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't know what specific currencies. These folks they're not dumb. They know what's going on.
They kept looking at each other. They kept kind of side-eyeing because I was just looking at them both like really wide-eyed and like, and very, very much pausing. If there was silences, he would leave a silence and I let the silence run. Sometimes they try to do that because a silence can be uncomfortable, but it's actually really empowering to hold the silence. I'm thinking, I'm not going to speak. I can wait just as long as you can until you speak. And he'd have to fill in the silence.
The blanks. Yeah. See, because your approach and mindset is so on point, and it's actually textbook of how people should conduct themselves when they're meeting with these wealth managers. You knew you were in control. You knew going in there that, and I say this without ego, you knew that you had something that they wanted.
Exactly, and that was the power that I held. I thought there's no way I'm gonna give it up. I know that I said it to the previous guy, and I and the fact that he just jumped in because he had obviously said to his boss, said like, yeah, I've got this girl and she's got currency, and then I'm not talking about currency. So he was very much wanting to probably impress his boss, and like so it's foreign currency. What is foreign currency? And he just what is foreign currency? Because it just came out of left field. He suddenly just blurted it out, and then started going on about how sterling dropped yesterday. And I said, "And what does that mean?" And he said, "Oh well, it means the UK are doing well." And I'm thinking that is such a lame answer for a banker to come out and say. It means the UK is doing well.
My Lord.
Okay. And I was thinking, okay. And he obviously knew that, he was kind of out. I don't know. But, for anybody listening, just keep hold of that power. That's your power, that, and they're intrigued. And, the fact that he knows that I'm, seeing other people, and I think that's a strength. But another thing is, you've got these people sat in front of you, many years ago in the various professions that I've done, especially when it comes to public speaking or anything like that, I was always trained to, say, don't ever get nervous. Just imagine them naked. And as soon as you imagine these people naked, all that, whatever strength or perceptions you have of these people just disappear. And so as I sat there, watched him tucking into a pastry and brushing all the crumbs down, and I was thinking, just underneath that shirt is a lot of blubber. So I was thinking I just thought, there you go, and that people are just human at the end of the day. There's nothing to get intimidated over. So just in case, people are kind of worried at that bit, it's just their positions and their names. And when you get down to the bare crux of everything, people are just people at the end of the day, and they're human, and just keep all your cards close to your chest.
Boom. That's excellent. I was just thinking that because you want to keep your cards close to your chest. And when you were talking about your interaction with them, I was thinking of the game chess, because it's like you're sitting there playing chess but you're holding your cards, like you said, close to the chest or
It
close
was
to the
exactly
vest.
that. It was exactly
And
felt like
and
that.
that's your that is your leverage, folks. When you're not going in there spilling your guts, I have this, I have that, and hoping that they'll just say to you, okay, yeah, we'll do business with you, bring in your currency. It doesn't work like that. See, because when you're in there meeting with them, they are asking you questions such as what you have, hypothetical amounts, so forth and so on, because they are trying to determine if they want to do business with you. They're trying to get to know you. But when you don't give that information up so readily, you maintain your leverage and power so that you let them know they already knew you were going to meet with other wealth management firms. So they know they have competition. And so with knowing a few things, one, they know you have currency. Two, they know they have competition. Three, they know the regulations that just went into place yesterday. And that particular bank, and I see Wiley's here. Wiley knows that particular bank extremely well also. They are very knowledgeable about what's happening because also, like I said in the beginning of the call, it's Europe. The world moves, financial worlds move based on how Europe moves. So this particular bank knows. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I've just remembered something else. And it was round about that time when he was saying about the foreign currency, and I was going, what? What? And then he said, so are there any more like you? And I was thinking, oh my God, where's he going with this? Yeah. And I was going, sorry. And again, my poker face. Sorry.
Smart.
And he said, who are gonna, come to us with this kind of thing. And I said, no, just me. Just
very
me.
smart.
As my nose starts growing longer and longer. And I was going, he said, you haven't got any siblings that might. I said, no, as far as I know, just me. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he will probably have a whole load of Wiley's questions roll up on his desk. And I'm like, right. I'm gonna be. That's it. He's gonna say, hang on a minute. How come that came from her all that time ago, and now we've got a whole load of these questions coming in.
Smart. Speaking of Wiley, I see you're here, my good man. You want to jump in here?
Yeah, Bambi, you did great. You carry yourself with a certain grace and poise, and you didn't let them rattle you, and you took care of business in a manner that very is conducive to how they want to work and the type of people they want to work with. You didn't get rattled. You didn't get excited. You didn't show, let the emotions overrun you. And that really shows to them, hey, this is the caliber of client we want. That's why they're asking, hey, are there more like you?
Yeah. I did kind of wonder about that bit.
Yeah, and you're not going in there with all the guru language. Yes. You went in there with true banking language.
Yeah, it was
currency language.
And I had all my notes ready, and all my bullet points, and I said, and I kept reiterating, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want to build a relationship. It's a relationship first and foremost before anything else. And do we like each other? And that's it. Do we go to a second date? He kept repeating that as well, which was quite interesting. So he'd remembered that I'd said that on the phone too. So it was interesting that he brought the marriage up again as well.
And it's very interesting you say that, Bambi, because that is what, even here in the States, that is what these client relationship managers and wealth managers are doing. Is this someone I want to do business with? Is this somebody that's going to cause me trouble every day? Is this somebody that's going to burn my phone up constantly because they're excitable, they're emotional, and they get emotional about how their money's being managed and invested, and they freak out over little things. I mean, I've got friends that do that, and I mean, I know they're wealth managers, and he's like, man, that guy ain't worth the trouble. And I hear it, and I'm like, well, that's not a conversation between you and me. You need to have that with him.
Yeah.
So
next week I'm going to see the other one. face to face, and I'm meeting 3, and there's going to be 3 ladies at this one. And the main one now, after I've already done a telephone one with the first gatekeeper, as you like, as I name them, so I've now got her big ultra high net worth manager taking it, and I've done all my research on her. She's got magazine articles all over the place, and so she kind of knows her stuff as well. But she sounds we haven't actually spoken yet, me and her. We've just done lots of emails, but she sounds terribly nice on the email and very polite, as you'd expect. I'm looking forward to that one. So yeah.
I'm looking forward to see what you come back with, because you've really broken into an area of the world where it's very tough to get where you are without the currencies being in the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of when Freedom first said about that. I had no idea, and I'm probably quite glad that I didn't know in the beginning, because it may have kind of had a little bit of an effect on me, sort of moving forward. But no, I'm kind of just taking the same approach, and with them, and with the girl that I had on the phone the other day. She was great. She was absolutely great, and we had a really, really nice conversation for well over an hour on the telephone, and she was only the first person, and again, I took exactly the same approach, and if it's not broken, don't fix it. The first time it worked out for me, so I'm just sticking until I need to make any adjustments. I can make adjustments as I go along, but I'm just sticking to keeping it simple and just taking in as much information as I can, and I'm certainly not claiming to be knowledgeable in anything, because I'm not. I've got a broad spectrum of information from everything that Wiley's presented us with in Freedom and the conversation. So I've kind of, I've got the tools, and it's a case of, in my tool rack, what do I need to pull out, on what occasion. So at the moment, I'm just keeping everything really nice and simple, treating it as a fact-finding mission. And just, how do I feel around these people? What's my vibration like? What's their vibration like? And I felt the vibration was a little bit off kilter yesterday, and that's because they probably never faced anybody like me before. They've never, and I said that to them. I said, you probably don't ever have somebody, who comes in this side of things with not having the liquidity, but I will be soon. And I said, this is probably very new to you. However, this is the way that I wish to do things, so I can gauge the relationship.
And with all of that, they value you even more, because you're not readily just making it appear as if you're desperate for their business.
No, I wasn't enamored, like excitable or impressed, should I say? Taking me to the offices, they probably, maybe expect people to be quite excitable and very impressed and everything. And, just keeping everything as cool as a cucumber, and just keeping everything, just mellow and, calm, and just sticking to the points.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, don't sell yourself short. You're far more knowledgeable than what you really think. We're happy to have assisted. But what I really like about all of this and what you're doing is you've taken the ownership of your investment, and you are in there treating it like it should be. And you're walking to them very professionally, and you're telling them, this is how I conduct business. You will meet me at that level.
Very much so, actually. You know what? I pulled on everything that I've done over my life and my career, and I thought to myself before going in, I was thinking, you know what? You subconsciously, I've been preparing for this my entire life. It doesn't feel strange in
Brand
any
new.
way. It doesn't feel
Mm-hmm.
brand new. And I just
Mm-hmm.
think, because I've pulled on everything, and that's why I said, I'd hope that the age that I am, that, you can just fall back on kind of, some people just kind of behave like a crazy lottery winner or anything like that. But I kind of just kind of pulled on wisdom. I've had periods of time in my life where I've been really, really successful, and I've been rock bottom, and then I've been successful again in a rock bottom. So I can be humble right the way across the board, because it doesn't faze me. It really doesn't faze me. I absolutely appreciate all the down times as well as the up times, because in those moments that you just learn so much about who you are and what you are, and everything. And so I think tackling this, coming from nothing as I am now, in relation to what we will be getting, it couldn't, the only way is up. And I just think that by kind of keeping, all your wits together, being humble and full of gratitude, and it just keeps you really and truly grounded and at peace. And I do my prayers before I walked in, put myself in a bubble of pure white light for protection. I do all my little rituals to make sure that there's no evil around or anything like that, that is going to be positive. Everything's positive, that the light shines through. And I literally do all that, so that hopefully that they can feel that they're vibrating off of me too, that it's not an erratic frequency coming off me. It's really calm, collected, and
Freedom, and listen to Bambi talk. What I really gather from him or her is she was able to put the anxieties of everything else aside, everything she's heard previously aside, and walk in there with true ownership of her investment.
That's right.
And just very
it felt like
calmly
that as well.
and
It absolutely
collectively,
felt like that too.
right, and have the conversation at a level that they want to conduct business at, and they admire her for sticking to her guns, and like, okay, we can meet you at the level you're accustomed to being dealt with at, not a problem. And it goes back to a lot of what we know is these folks that are going to be waiting for these 800 numbers that won't come, and then they're hearing all these other people are going to banks and having success. That bank's going to put those people on the back burner, because they're going to remember people like Bambi. It's like, oh, we got an appointment with her. Don't book anything. I'm going to be with her for a few hours to deal with things, talk with her, go through things, structure some things, maybe adjust a few things. It's going to take some time. You have 10 minutes to get in and get out. Bambi, how long were you in there?
I was in there an hour and a half.
Exactly.
And other people in the group, I'm seeing they've been in there an hour, a couple of hours a time. And that's what you want. You want to know at least that you've been taken seriously.
Because we're building relationships. You're building a rapport. And it's a proven fact that people that have wealth strategy and wealth relationships succeed 2 times more and faster than somebody who thinks they can do this on their own.
That is so key what you just said, Wiley, as far as those relationships, because the members that are going in to establish these relationships, and you said 2 times more, and that's amazing statistic, because that shows that, folks, if you do not have a relationship, just imagine going in to exchange your currency and want to meet with these folks when they don't even have a relationship established.
I can't imagine that happening now. It just seems so alien to me. That was, that was kind of always the way which we were told it was going to play out. That you were going to go in, do this, and you'd be out in 10 minutes. And it's like what the hell,
and when you say that, and Wiley, when she says that, how folks have been for so long just lie. I don't know if the gurus even know what they were saying, but telling people you'd be in and out in 10 minutes, you get an 800 number, a notification, you just go in and you're done. It doesn't. It's like you said. It seems alien to you.
Absolutely.
Because it's never been true. It was just always to tell people what they wanted to hear, to keep them coming back, 2 channels.
And just to make a point, these brochures that I've got, it's all real, up to the minute information in real time, graphs that have taken years. It's an ongoing business. It's not just like what I mean by that is, if you were to have got into a redemption center meeting, it's like it felt very much as if like something from scratch, something not disconnected from everything, whereas this is actually the real world. It's happening, and it's day to day. It's everything is documented up to the present day, and you've got forecasts for the future, and it's real and in real time. The other stuff was just like fantasy. It feels like fantasy, because there's nothing real about it. So to see all this in brochures and real happenings, and actually what's really going on in real life, and the different programs, and the different all the different criterias and everything, the whole
and
setup.
regulations.
It's the regulations. Everything is all set up. It's all real.
What entity out there is regulating redemption centers? Why hasn't a redemption center person come forward and say, hey, here we are. This is what we do. We're here for you. No one's come forward.
No, because they're too busy training.
I was drinking.
Wiley.
I was drinking water when you said that, Wiley.
You have people talking about redemption centers and the people who talk about them have the most checkered past. If you really delve into the people, that I wouldn't trust them with $2 of my money, and yet they're the ones that are supposed to guide me to a redemption center. No, thank you. I don't care if you offered me 20 times the rate. I want to go where I know my money's regulated, protected, and I have the ability to control and grow it.
Yeah.
And I want professionals in the field that have to do it. I'm not going to walk into a place that is undescript, unknown, and there is complete unknowns into where I'm going. That's why we teach build relationships. This way you have a plan, you have a structure, you know the individual, you have a rapport, and you know that you click with this person, and it's a mutual relationship that's going to benefit both parties.
But to know that you're in control of like next week that I'm seeing somebody else, it's very empowering, to know that, you're not railroaded into making any sharp decisions, which you would be on the other side after the event. Here you can do it in this way. You can shop around with a clearer head, and calmly, a bit, a lot more calmly than what you're going to be able to do after the event.
Well, it is your investment, your money. You should always be in control. You should always be the CEO of your ship or the captain of your ship conducting. What you want is the wealth manager who understands his role, and he is the chief financial operator of your agency, of your entity.
Yeah.
And if he isn't that, you got to let him go and go find somebody else, him, her, whoever. That's just the way to be successful, because you're very much in a business, but the business is Bambi. It's Bambi Inc.
Yeah.
Bambi Inc. I like that. Hey, Wiley, you got to look into the room. When you said that about redemption centers, I was drinking water. That picture I just posted into the room made me spit out my water.
Well, so many people get into this, and somebody new, and I realize that somebody new gets into this every day. They Google it, and the first thing that comes up is some of these gurus that have all these clicks, likes, and feeds and all this stuff out there, and another one gets sucked in. And they ride that emotional roller coaster of anxiety, unknowns, and the constant today, this week, now. And that has been the scenario for 20 years, and the talking points have never changed in 20 years. You and I both know, we lived in this world, we've been in this world for a little bit. You and I know that the longer something goes on, regulations, protocols, standards, laws, contracts, they all change. How is it these people have the same talking points 20 years?
Oh God, how do they do it? I mean, sometimes something comes on YouTube or something, if a video comes to the end and the next one comes on, it might be one from a long time ago, and they sound it doesn't matter which one you put on. If you didn't see the dates, they all are the same. And literally, you can play one from this time last year to one to the year before that, and the year before that. And it's like, if you didn't know, you're literally, it's like they're on a loop, a complete loop all the time. And I honestly, I fear for a lot of the people when the time does happen and they've just been led up the garden path, and there's going to be a lot of panicky people.
Well, they've built up these followings and these mass followings, and these people are like, I'll do whatever he tells me to do. I don't want to do that here, nor does Freedom, because we are trying to get you to understand, here's what you need to know. Here's how you approach it. Go get the advisory, because that's your new team. Freedom and I will not be here for you forever. Our time here is finite. It will end, and it ends, and we're gone.
Yeah.
And you have a new team that you've had the ability to learn and grow and understand, and you're going to continue with them and continue that relationship. And the same thing we've taught you is going to be lessons that you will use for the rest of your life to maintain this and continue to grow and to continue keep learning. And you'll do great, because you push the boundaries. You're not excitable. You're very poised about, I'm in control. You're going to meet me at my level.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I love what you said, Bambi, about everything is documented, where everything is provable. If you have, in the words of the beautiful lady Unique and the gift she posts, receipts. You have receipts. And they shared with you the documentation showing their fluid the changes within their wealth management firm, which are also applied to the changes in the banking system, and so forth and so on. But it's beautiful. You did an amazing job. And next week you're meeting with these ladies, the other wealth managers?
Yeah, ladies on Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay. Is this two different ladies?
Three. Yeah.
Are they together or separate meetings?
All together.
Okay.
Yep, three. I've put, and as I said, the main lady who I haven't met in person yet or haven't spoken over the phone with, but we've been emailing. Yeah, she's the ultra high net worth manager. So her articles are all over the place. So I've kind of been doing all my due diligence on the team that I'm meeting with. And I think that's really important to do. Try and find out as much information as you can, so that so you've got talking points. If there is a gap, you've got things to to pull out the hat.
Bambi, you said you were professional in your previous endeavors and all that, and I'm sure you've spent some time in schooling and stuff, and you've learned all this and everything you've done. You've had highs and lows in your life, but did you not research every little thing and every little step? When you faltered and were at rock bottom, did you have to do some research and recover and say, let's not do that again, and let's move forward?
Absolutely.
And now you're putting research into this to move forward, to be successful.
I am one of those people. I mean, I'm always kind of like, okay, what now? What we're going to do now? And I think some of my greatest comebacks have been from when you're rock bottom, whatever life has thrown at you. And if you can pick yourself up, dust yourself down. And, I'm very much driven in that way. Let's, fingers crossed. I'll find the team and my choice, which I'm sure I will.
And we learn more at rock bottom than we do when we're at the high. Right.
You can come complacent to the top,
Yeah. Well, it's easy to get complacent. It's easy but if we put a team with us, if we put a team that works with us, then we got more people that can help us from making those mistakes that could take us back to rock bottom.
Yeah. Exactly. I think always having your wits about you, even after this, just don't kind of, rest on your laurels at all, after the event, it's just kind of always, be vigilant and keeping an eye on everything that's going on. Don't give up your control. Let by all means, of course, be advised and have them do what they're capable of doing, because what their expertise is. But always have an eye on what's going on. Don't ever lose the control. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure you were a little impressed with some of the things they were saying they could do and not do, but you kept your wits about you. I'm sure there were several things that piqued your interest outside of giving the money to the government, because they couldn't manage, their way out of a wet paper bag.
Right,
But
exactly.
And you know what? The way he gestured, he actually used his hands. Like if I was to be in front of you now and I was to chuck a ball to you, imagine like me doing an imaginary chuck with two hands. That's how he was across the table. He kind of said, "You can chuck it to the government." And
Wow.
That's not quite how it works, but he was trying to get you interested in governmental entities or
he was, I think, government bonds, and he was showing me the return that you can get so much back, and he was showing me the figures.
That's where his biggest fees. That's where his biggest fees are.
Hence my poker face and my favorite word, interesting. Interesting.
And this is where the term double dipping comes in a lot, that people have taken it out of this environment, because wealth managers and these people like that used to get you in certain things so they could get paid twice on what they're doing for you. That's what the true double dip is. And it applies, and it's illegal. It's illegal to do. But the term that the gurus use for that came out of this actual wealth management environment.
These guys actually did make a point of saying, there is no commissions, nothing on pushing products or anything like that. They get their flat salary, and that is that, and no bonuses. So I was kind of quite impressed with that. I was like, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, so they're straight paid by the entity.
No matter what they do for me,
That's
they
good.
get their salary, whether they work really, really hard or they're not less involved, or they get paid whatever.
Okay, that's good.
That's interesting, because now you don't have to worry about 1% or fees or any of that structure to worry about on top of it.
I don't have to no hourly rates or anything like that. It's just one, your flat fees, and that's it. Which I'm never comfortable with hourly rates. It's like when you have a lawyer and things like that, everybody gets so hung up on the hour, don't they? That's another hour, and it takes away from actually what the job is in question.
When you meet with these folks again, if this topic comes up about government investments, or you can bring it up. If I were you, I'll bring it up. If they don't mention it, ask them. You can, just like you're good at asking the questions. In fact, this is what I would encourage you to do: is you ask them, wealth manager, what are your top 3 investments that you would potentially put me into? And then he'll tell you 1, 2, and 3. You write this down, because this is real quick. And then you ask him to rank. So he'll give you 1, 2, and 3, but it may not be in any specific order. It may just be whatever comes to his head. I would ask him, okay, thank you. You gave me those 3. One of them is going to be this government stuff that he's talking about. I would ask him, thank you for those 3. Can you rank 1 to 3 for me now?
Yeah, that's interesting.
So he will prioritize one. Okay, if he says government bonds, private wealth, private equity, and something, and let's say mutual funds. Okay, so rank from 1 to 3. Which one? He might say government bonds number 1, private equity number 2, mutual funds 3, whatever it is. Okay, so whichever is number 1, say to me, okay, if he says government bonds number 1, okay, wealth manager, why is government bonds number 1 for you? So what you're doing is you're honing in on why that one particular is what he wants to put you in the most. And this is just a way for you to also maintain control and asking questions, putting it back on them, but also for you to learn.
That'd be really interesting, because the next person, the other 2 that he wants to bring in at the next meeting and he kept kind of saying, that, when it comes to trust, he said, I'll bring in, the this next person. So that will be a really interesting little thing that I can do in the meeting with him.
So that's just a thought.
Yeah,
Wiley,
don't
you
be
want to?
surprised if they might kick back on you if they don't know right off the top of their head. They'll be like, well, that depends what your risk threshold is. Like, well, say I don't have a risk threshold, and throw it back to them again. Hey, Bambi, let me ask you, and Freedom, this goes for everybody. How many people have we talked to now? How many signed an NDA?
Right?
Yeah, no, I have to say, it hasn't been brought up as once.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's not even, doesn't even apply to this. To these, again, another, just more guru foo-foo that they put out over time about NDAs and all kind of crap.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
And
I bet Bambi don't even have a binder.
And you know what, Wiley, you know who Bambi reminds, I tell you who Bambi reminds me of, and I think of Bambi as being another PR. Because she's able to just get in and move up the ladder so quickly and establish these relationships. It's amazing.
Yeah. They're not quite satisfied. They heard it, but they're still going to go date somebody else and see what that relationship is.
Right.
Then they're going to take that and they're going to learn from that, and they're going to move further up the banking structure.
Yeah.
Before long, Bambi's going to be talking to the bank owner.
Exactly. That's why I thought of PR, because Bambi said this next meeting they're bringing in the higher, more like big guns. The next meeting, I forget what your term
and Bambi,
that you use.
Where you're at, that entity's massive. I mean, they deal direct with the IMF. I mean, they're big boys. They're at the top of this moving money around the globe game.
They are.
Yeah. No, it felt good, and just, as I said, just I think just keeping hold of your power is the most important thing. Just not letting go of it, because they will try, and it will unnerve people. But if you actually flip that around and actually think like, no, don't. It actually empowers you. So don't let it unnerve you. Let it empower you. The fact that you're not telling or not saying how much, and please don't say what you've got or anything. And just to hold that, I could see it was driving him nuts. Because
you kept it vague. They know you have currency.
Yeah.
You told the very first person on the phone.
Yeah, exactly. It was he was probably, after I left, he probably said, honestly, she did say currency on the phone. She did. I'm not lying.
He got a slap in the back of the head by his boss. Boy, shut up. No, she didn't. She didn't even admit it. And folks listening to this, I want you to know that the very first conversation that Bambi had where currency came up, she just didn't have that conversation over the phone a couple of weeks ago and just say, hey, I have foreign currency. No, it was where the gentleman asked her several times, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And so, but once she got comfortable enough to where she established a rapport with this gentleman on the phone first, and within that conversation, she just kept building and building and building on her relationship with him on the phone, to where he asked, how many times did he ask you on the phone the first time? Do you recall?
3 or 4. 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
And at the very, very end, all I said was very quietly, just said currency. Oh, okay. And then that's when he said, well, when the time comes, you'll be able to come in and we offer our high street rates. That's what he said.
See, and you did so well with that, because when he asked you the first time, you just didn't say it. You kept you didn't budge. And then it's next time, second time, third time. And folks listening, that was on the phone. Her very first conversation. Was that about a month ago or so?
Yeah, that was in December. I had to go through a couple of gatekeepers, and and then it took a lot. Actually, it took a long time, kind of going around the gardens trying to find a human on the phone.
But
first of all.
you built that rapport first. Once you knew you wetted his whistle enough to where he asked you the third, fourth time, you're like, okay, I got enough leverage, I can tell him. And you did, and he's like, okay. And now here you are with he said, we'll get together in the beginning of the new year. You did. And now you maintained your leverage. They know you have currency. The boss slapped in the back of the head after you left, like, fool. She didn't say it, but he's like, okay, they're going to bring the big guns next time.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that our audience needs to understand is what Bambi truly had to do is she couldn't just make an appointment at a wealth manager, and wealth manager says, hey, I'll just see you at this time. Over in the UK, they have gatekeepers before you ever get to the person you want to get to.
Yeah.
Right.
So you got this whole interview process that you have to get through. So kudos, Bambi, because you've had to take it a step further to benefit yourself to get where you are, to where we have the ease in the United States just to call one, make an appointment, and show up. You don't have that luxury.
Well, now I don't even have to do telephone banking number to go around the gardens. I've got everybody's mobile phone. So I don't ever have to do that again. I've literally got an address book full of all these mobiles now.
Yep, that sounds like PR.
Yes. Next Bambi we talk about, she's on the golf course with the owner of a bank like PR.
Well, you know what? You're going to laugh. Okay, so the other ones, the other group. So the lady that I spent over an hour on the phone with the other day, she's already talking to me about Chelsea Flower Show.
Wow.
And where they take their clients and things, and
wow.
Yeah, so we had conversations about that.
Wow, this is beautiful.
Bambi, keep nurturing these relationships, because at some point you are going to hit the right circle of these guys, and they're going to talk about something that I don't ever talk about, and that's a platform, and it will come. If you keep building the relationships at that level, and where you're at right now, who you talk to is one of the biggest players in the world. So keep building rapport. Keep doing that. I'm not saying stay with these guys. I'm just saying you've got it down. You're the type of client they want. You keep building that rapport. You're studious. You manage wealth great. You're going to get that invite. Because it's not something they're going to talk to you about. It's something they're going to eventually invite you to, depending how you manage your monies.
Yeah. It's really kind of exciting now, having got that, as everybody else has said, when they other people in the group, and everybody's had such fabulous stories, and have done so well. But the ones that have said, once you get that first face-to-face over with, first of all, it's the telephone call. You think, yes. And then it ups the bar, and the bar is raised, and then you have to go to the next bit, and then there's the face to face, and you think, yes, I'm glad I've done a face to face. Now I'm ready for the next one. And so the bar at the minute keeps getting raised, and and it feels, if anybody listening, it feels so much easier. The more that you want, obviously repetitiveness, you're constantly, doing the repetitiveness, and, just learning it over and over and over. And it becomes second nature, but it does get easier and easier once you've done that first face to face. And of course, you're going to put these people up on pedestals, because, as Wiley's just said, they're really big institutions. But if you kind of, take away kind of that and just think that they're just humans, they do everything that I do.
You're training yourself, though. That's what you're doing, Bambi. You're training yourself, and you're educating yourself. Just like a military service member trains and trains and trains and trains to where he don't even have to think about it. He just reacts. That's what you're doing. Now you have the ability, because you've done it enough times, you can just go in and have the conversation, and it can be so fluid because you've had so many calls and a few set downs. But one question I have for you, to somebody who would hear this later tonight or whenever it gets put out, What would you tell somebody or advise somebody sitting on the fence or lurking in the back of the room in the class? What would you say to them?
To make the first break, get on the telephone. Once you've set a target, and who's going to be the first one. If you've been a lurker, lurking away, learning and listening to everybody else, it could feel quite nerve-wracking, especially if people have kind of had a bad experience and they've got to be, had Wiley and Freedom pull them back up, but they've always got back up and they've always been put on the right path. So there is no failure here if you do it right. Just always keep getting yourself back up, but set a target. And one of the biggest things is procrastination, and that can be a killer. And the procrastination, you've just got to knock down that brick wall and set yourself a target and do it, and say, right, today I'm going to make this call, and set your targets, and don't let that day end without not having made at least a breakthrough in telephone calls. Because I promise you, once you've taken that step forward and you're dialing the number and you're nervous and everything, once you break through, you'll feel so much happier. It's you'll be so empowered, and then just go to the next step. But just keep doing. If you followed Wiley's steps, follow them through, and then set yourself targets. And which is what I did when my first week, once I got my time back after having a very long stint at work. I was like, right, by the end of this week, I want to have achieved this. And I just absolutely set myself targets that I'm going to get to the end of the week and I'm going to have made contact. And that was the biggest thing, is just breaking through if there's any procrastination, that will get you through it, knock down those brick walls. And you'll be absolutely fine. Have your bullet points in front of you, listen to what everybody else has said, listen to the podcasts, how everybody else has achieved it. Everybody might have a different formula. What works for one might not work for another, but just keep trying. And because this is not, you're not going into somebody else's world here. This has to become your world. This and own it. Like, this wealth is mine. I'm deserving of this. I deserve this. This is I'm living my life. So take ownership of it. Not that you're kind of trying to step into a world that you don't feel really part of, because you do. You're here and you've earned that right, and now grasp it. It's there for the taking. That's what I would say to anybody.
We're just going to have you come on to every call and do the motivational.
Right?
Bambi Inc. Yeah. Oh, and for anybody in the UK listening, Freedom, you might want to touch base on this, that we've modified the rules or the steps. So somebody who's trying to break that barrier into the UK, we've modified those for the UK audience. So you'll have easier time to get that threshold and get to where Bambi is and succeeding in that arena.
Yeah. Bambi was so sweet, and actually writing out step by step those of what she did for anyone listening in the UK. And we can share it in the room. Just come in and ask, and we'll share exactly what she did. She was literally put it in writing, step by step.
Yeah, and it feels good. Feels good to, to then hit the ground running past Christmas, because that break kind of, you can lose the momentum a little bit. But just for anybody who kind of got stuck into the lull of the Christmas break and procrastinating again, just pick it up again and run with it. It's Friday today, so set your targets for next week. Monday, your to-do list, and this is what I'm going to achieve by the end of play on Monday. I've made the calls to this bank or that bank. I've set up a basic account, and you're going to make the phone calls. Whatever you need to do, just set yourself targets, and then by the end of the week of next week, this is what you want to have achieved, and so that you can pat yourself on the back and move forward to the next stage.
And Bambi, thank you for reaching back and helping somebody and somebody help move them forward. And that's what we like to see is when we help you, we just ask that you turn around and reach back and pull somebody else
Absolutely.
up.
This is an
And you've
absolute
done that
team.
through those rules, the
Yeah.
guidelines that you've given is
So this is a
very valuable.
team effort. As I said to you, like
Mhm.
the first time, we want everybody to succeed.
Yes.
A lot of people who come into wealth that, they're very ego driven and they want it all for themselves. That, our community is something entirely different, and it's about empowering each other, helping each other. And we all want to make this happen for each other. We're all deserving of this. And we want everybody to succeed. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because right now, as you say very clearly, the wealthy right now don't want you in their sandbox.
No,
They close that door.
Yeah, they don't want us
There's
knowing
enough.
anything about this,
Right. And there's more than enough to go around. There
Mm.
really is. And the world would be
Yeah.
a much better place if people were helping more people.
Abs-
And with many
absolutely.
hands becomes lighter work. And there's some
Yeah.
great things that people want to move forward and do.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
Great.
Beautiful. 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 All right. Anything else you want to add, Wiley, before we tune out?
No, just thanks for inviting me to the call visit with Bambi. I missed her the last
course,
time, and I was
of
kind of
course.
upset about that because
Aw.
she's
Yeah.
magnificent and taking
Bless you,
the reins
Wiley.
and getting this done.
And
Absolutely.
Wiley, we all think you're absolutely awesome, and we wouldn't be here without you either. So it's all
Hey, hang on a minute. I'm gonna get my
kudos and
wife on the
credit
phone
to
so she
you.
can hear that.
Kudos and credit to you, my dear.
Yes,
Thank you,
indeed. Yes, indeed. Beautiful, beautiful. Folks, anyone listening, you can click on the link at the top of the description right here in the Goldilocks Global Banking News, and you will see the link to the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues Room, where you can meet Bambi and many other members, Wiley, myself, the whole entire tribe, where we're all in the process of getting prepared for the RV. Members establishing relationships, just like you heard here today with Bambi in London, establishing relationships with wealth managers. Also here in the U.S., we are doing the same thing. People from around the world, you're open to come. We welcome you with love and open arms. Bambi, anything you want to add as we tune out? Or you good to go?
Just wish everybody a great end to the week, and a happy new year to everybody, as this is the first time I'm able to verbally say it to everyone. And I to wish everybody an absolute prosperous happy new year, and that we all succeed, and it's going to be a great year for us all, and I love you all.
Absolutely. We love you back.
Yes.
All right, everyone, have a great day. We'll see you soon. Take care. Ciao.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RV GCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RV GCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RV GCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.